Okay. First of all, a very warm welcome to everyone for 2028 A-level batch. And by choosing this one, in one way, you have already proved that you all are very courageous people. Very, what do you call her? Very brave people, because when everyone says that combined maths is hard, you have chosen this subject. There may be people who's doing combined mathematics, ICT, and physics. There may be people who's doing combined mathematics, chemistry, and physics, right? Regardless of whatever the subjects you take from ICT and chemistry, okay, this combined mathematics subjects is gonna give you a complete idea on critical thinking. So, or else it's gonna develop your critical thinking heavily, and as an added advantage compared to people who's, you guys are having another core subject which is physics, right? So when I was doing the introduction session on Monday, and that recording is available, if anyone is willing to watch that recording after the session, you can go to my YouTube channel and watch it, right? One student was asking, instead of doing physics, can I do ICT? You can do, but you will not be falling under the physical science stream or the science ICT. You will be non-category student. Most of the courses that is provided for the people who's doing maths and physics will not be available for you to do, right? So even though you have the mathematics background, you will not be eligible to do some most of the core subjects. So what I recommend is, make sure that you do physics and combined maths. Instead of chemistry, you can do ICT, or as you can stick to chemistry. Okay, right. So I will give you the details of my YouTube channel and all in the middle of the session, right? First of all, just a brief introduction, like 1 minute, 1.5 minutes. My name already you all know, maybe that's why you all in this session. Come on, as a formality, let's say I'll just introduce myself. I'm Arman Shalik. I'm a physical science graduate from University of Sri Javadanapura, and my degree focused on mathematics, computer science, and statistics. And my research area is in maths and statistics. Okay, and I'm currently enrolled in reading my master's in mathematics education, right? And also I'm a combined mathematics lecturer in a leading boys school in Colombo, right? Right. So the next thing, straight away, we'll dive into the subject. Today I'll be starting the syllabus. Okay, before we commence the syllabus, first of all, you should know what is in the syllabus, no? How much of a lesson combination, how big are the lessons, you should get an idea, no? Right? Otherwise, if you directly dive into combined maths, you can't do combined maths, right? Just because everyone says that combined maths is difficult, it's not difficult. Just because the people who is in combined maths just come and say, "Machang, eka patta lazy," it's not going to be patta easy also, right? So this subject is going to be a very nice subject for the people who put what, if the lecturer is putting 100% effort, the student should put 200% effort from their side. Then only the subject is going to be a nice person to that particular student. If not, the subject is going to be a nightmare for everyone, those who are not continuously working. Like in all levels, if let's take all levels, you all are just all level finished students, no, right? You are just all level finished people, no? So you might be thinking, O level we did 9 subjects. Here we have only 3 subjects, no? Can do it easily. It's not like that. O level, that's ordinary level. Samanya. That's how people say, no? Ordinary level. That's OL. They have given the name to this one as advanced level. Advanced level. So when you go from this OL from grade 11 to grade 12, you seem like you are jumping, you are just leveling up one step. But remember, you are not just leveling up one step, you are leveling up 10 steps here. What I'm trying to imply, remember guys, remember children, when it comes to O-level and advanced level, there's a greater learning gap. Indeed, your O-level maths knowledge is required if you know the basic simplifications in maths, basic algebraic simplification in maths, and basic graph idea in maths. Based on that, we can start from scratch and do advanced level. But still, to cover up this learning gap, we'll have to do some additional things in the class. So that's why government itself, from the National Institute of Education, from their end itself, before commencing the combined mathematics subject, or before commencing the higher mathematics, or before commencing mathematics, there are 3 math subjects in A levels. You guys are doing combined maths now. There's another subject called higher mathematics. There's another mathematics subject called just mathematics. Mathematics, higher mathematics, combined mathematics. The majority of the Sri Lanka is doing combined mathematics. If you take the entire Sri Lanka, only every year, only 1, 2, or maximum 3 students only doing higher mathematics, because higher mathematics is, compared to combined mathematics, really difficult, right? So here, as majority is doing combined mathematics, I'm taking only the combined mathematics class in class here, right? So ordinary level to advanced level, there's a huge gap. To fill up this gap, government itself, NIE itself, they have introduced something called foundation course for combined mathematics, foundation course for the people who do maths, any of the maths, combined or higher or mathematics, whatever the maths is, right? So from that foundation course, you will be getting an idea to do the algebraic simplifications and manipulate those algebraic simplifications in A levels, understand the geometrical concept, how to apply in applied mathematics. So those areas are covered from this. But the thing is, they have introduced a foundation course to teach the students within 1 month, but the foundation course itself 3 months long, right? So as a lecturer, especially a tuition lecturer, and as a person who's targeting your final examination, not just me, every lecturer is not gonna take 3 months to do the foundation course. Then you are going to go behind in the syllabus, because syllabus itself a very huge subject area. So since you guys have joined online, okay, you will be getting the printed tools. I'll just show you that one. Now today I will just send you the PDF file in WhatsApp, since this is a free resource. Free resources I'll usually send in WhatsApp, okay? WhatsApp in the chat box. So this is a book that I have prepared for you for the foundation course. Actually, it's not a foundation course. Reviews of basic algebra and the first lesson content is in here, because first lesson is a theory lesson. There are no calculations asked in final exam, but the idea that you get from the first lesson is important to understand the other lessons. So this one's PDF, I will send it to you, okay? The printed ones, you will get it once you registered and enrolled for the classes from the upcoming classes onwards, right? Okay, just a simple understanding that I have to give you before we start the advanced level syllabus. We have to do some pre-works to cover up or mold your understanding, or instead of directly diving into the sea or jumping to the sea, we first of all learn swimming in swimming pool. Foundation course, but I'm not going to drag that one more than 2 sessions. Okay, within 2 sessions, whatever the things that you need to understand in A levels, I will be perfectly teaching that part. And then with the time being, whenever the lessons are coming, whenever the foundation is required, then I'm pulling up the concepts from foundation course, along with the combined maths theory. We'll slowly learn that part and learn the combined maths part. So that way we can cover up the syllabus, learn your cover up your learning gaps, and train for the critical thinking as well, right? So trust the process and work. Now, usually in my classes, I recommend the students to use separate books for each lesson. So no more than 120 pages is recommended for any of the lesson. If the 120 pages is not enough, once the book is over, once the book is finished, take another 120 pages book, paste it behind that one. This will reduce the bag's weight, and this will give you some sort of a psychological impact also. Now let's say you are just using a 200 pages book, or as a 400 pages mean 30 potak tiyaගෙන ඉන්නවා. You are using a 200 pages book. You are writing every note in that one, and you are writing multiple lessons notes in that in the same book. What happens? Right? Everything is in one book. There is no any proper order. Let's say one particular lesson you have to take and discuss. You can't take that one book only outside. You have to turn all the pages and check in which page you have written, or in which book, from what page you have started the discussion. So when it comes to A level, there should be a proper planning. There should be a proper way of maintaining the notes. You should be an organized person. Okay, you must be an organized person. Okay, like in all levels, for the entire mathematics, 200 pages wage book එකක්, it's more than enough, because most of the calculations you all are doing in your tutorial na puta. The tuition classes provide tutorials, no, so you're not going to write most of the discussions will be done in the tutorial. So 200 pages book is more than enough to do the calculations in all level for the entire 2 years. Sometimes here one lesson might be needing 120 pages, depends on the size of the lesson. If the lesson is too big, okay, like trigonometry wage lessons, if you take lessons like trigonometry, we might be needing 300 pages or something to finish off the entire lesson, right? That's the biggest lesson in the syllabus. I will give you the lesson topics, timelines that we have to usually take to complete it, and how we are going to cover up the syllabus in the class, and when we are covering up the syllabus in the class, that introduction also I'll give you quickly, right? So the working methodology is, in my classes, you all have to maintain separate books for separate lessons. Each lesson will have a dedicated book for that one. If I feel like 2-3 small lessons can be taken in one single book, then I will tell you, write all the notes of these particular 3 lessons in the same, maintain the notes of these lessons in this book itself. I'll usually instruct you, right? Okay. They'll be joining after Ramadan. I will, after the discussion, I'll give you the file. Okay. Right. Listen. So now you're going to take the notes in separate books. Right. Now you're going to take the note of the very first thing in the very first book. So take your book. Right. So Bismillah, we'll start. Okay. Right. So Buddha, write the topic combined maths with the 3 A's hope, with 100 marks for combined maths. Write the topic combined maths. Write with the interest, write with the, what do you call, love for the subject, and write the topic. So make sure that your handwritings are nice. Make sure your handwritings are beautiful. I forgot to mention one thing. Buddha, don't expect me to give, or expect any of the A-level teachers to give you a theory tute, okay? Theory tutes will not be provided. You will get a tute which includes only questions. Questions tute itself, when the questions in that's somewhere around 100 questions or something. For an example, if you want to complete a full trigonometry essay question, okay, to write the answers for the trigonometry essay question and complete it fully with the proper presentation and logical writing, you will be needing 2 or 3 foolscap papers, which means 6 pages maximum. Minimum, it depends on your letter size. Okay, if you're writing very small letters, it's gonna reduce, right? But minimum 2 foolscap papers you need, which means 4 pages for one essay question. So we cannot give you questions and to write answers in the tute itself, we can't keep space. And also we can't give you theory typed in the tute, because mathematics theories you have to write by hand, because there are lots of theories we have to discuss. Right. There are 2 questions. So how about the paper structure? Don't worry about the paper structure and all. Slowly, we'll learn about those things. With this, now I'm going to give you the introduction for the subject. No? So with that, I'll give you the paper structure also. In the beginning itself, if I give you the paper structure, okay? right? I'll just give you a brief understanding. O-level marks given out of how much? Part 1 paper, part 2 paper, part 1 paper 100, part 2 paper 100, no? A-level, part 1 paper, which is the pure paper, 1000, part 2 paper, applied paper, out of 1000, okay? So marks are given out of 2000, so you have to write a lot, because that's why the subject is bigger. So if you take combined maths, puta, combined maths is divided into pure maths and applied maths dedicatedly to subject areas. If you take old syllabus, not the syllabus before not the syllabus before your syllabus, not the syllabus before that syllabus also, syllabus tunak විතර පිටිපස්ස. If you take the like 20 years වගේ back, if you take pure mathematics, applied mathematics were two different subjects. Okay, pure mathematics is a separate subject. Applied mathematics separated dedicatedly another subject, which means the syllabus content was really deep. Now what they did was combining those two subjects in one subject, right? That combining is also actually useless. Still we are going to learn separately applied maths and pure maths. Reducing some content in the syllabus, they have put together as combined maths, right? So those days in chemistry also, organic chemistry is a dedicated paper. Other chemistry, inorganic chemistry, industrial chemistry, general chemistry, those parts in a separate paper. Now organic chemistry, inorganic chemistry, industrial chemistry, general chemistry, and then physical chemistry, all these 5 parts of chemistry is in one single paper, right? So now actually the syllabus is super easier than the syllabus that was 20 years before, right? Syllabus is patta lazy. So you are having actually a very easy syllabus to learn, but still if you take the number of people who sat for the combined maths paper, somewhere around 42,000 or something in 2024 A levels, combined maths A passes were actually 8% of it. So 92% of the students did not get the A pass, right? The reason is the way of working for the subject. You all think that you can work for this subject like you worked in O levels. You can't work in this one same as the way you worked in O levels. That's why that is O level, this is A level. That is ordinary, this is advanced level. That's a completely different way of learning. There's a completely different way of understanding, right? There's a complete different way of dedication also. You have to, first of all, as I told you in the Monday session also, the combined mathematics subject is something that you have to do with the confidence and unconditional sacrifice. No conditions are there, no compromisations, right? If you have that quality, you can do this subject, right? Now listen. So the subject pure mathematics, we can divide, I will just mention few areas of this. Pure mathematics subject we can divide basically into these areas: algebra, and then trigonometry, calculus, coordinate geometry. So these are the main core areas in pure mathematics that we have, right? If you take applied mathematics, the very first thing that we have to discuss is vectors. And then next subject area is statics, and then dynamics, and then probability, and then statistics. These are the areas we have. Under each of these areas, there are a set of lessons that we have to discuss, not just one lesson or two lessons, right? When it comes to those lessons, I will be usually mentioning what is the section that these lessons are falling. Now I'm not going to give the lesson or sort the lessons under the categories. I'll just give you the lessons that we have in the syllabus, right? If you want, you can write it down for your reference. So at the end of the course, you can argue with me, sir, you have completed this, you haven't completed this, right? So better to write down the subjects or the lessons that you have. So can you write down a little bit larger? Okay, sure. Okay, right. I thought it's visible. Okay, fine. Right, the very first lesson that you have to discuss is real numbers. Same as your O levels, and today we'll be discussing real numbers. Real numbers. Number 2, trigonometry. And then relations and functions. Relations and functions. And quadratics. And then under relations and functions, we have modulus here. Listen carefully. Under relations and functions, we have sublessons also. Rational functions. Okay. Under that, we have to discuss. Polynomial functions, rational functions, and then after that, we have to discuss about modulus functions and modulus inequalities. So there are 3 types of functions we have to discuss. There are sublessons also there. There are sublessons also within this one. Now, polynomial functions. Okay, quadratic functions also comes under functions only. I'm taking it separately because it's a main subject area. Okay. Number 2, rational functions. Under polynomial only we discuss about rational functions. Third one, modulus functions. Modulus functions. We say piecewise functions. We call that piecewise functions also. And then we have to discuss about, I'm not going to give you in order. Okay, this is not the order that we are going to discuss. I'm just giving the lesson topics for you. Right, under if you take the syllabus for trigonometry is actually in the first term and second term, giving us circular functions, angle measurements, and then after that sine rule, cosine rule, trigonometric identity, identity proving, solving trigonometric functions, trigonometric graphs, trigonometric equations. Separately we have like 10 topics or something under trigonometry. So all those lessons together only I'm writing as trigonometry. Okay, all those lessons together I'm writing as trigonometry. Right. Quadratic functions, we have to under quadratic functions we have to discuss under quadratics we have to discuss 2 areas: quadratic functions and quadratic equations. 2 lessons: quadratic functions and quadratic equations. There are 2 lessons under this. Right. And then after that we have to discuss, now I'm just writing randomly, principle of mathematical. If it is not visible, I'll write it larger. Principle of mathematical induction. Principle of mathematical induction. Binomial theorem. Binomial theorem. You just write down, na? Binomial theorem for your reference. For your reference, you should know what are the lessons you have. No? Complex numbers. In pure mathematics subject areas, I think I forgot to mention calculus. Calculus is another main area. Okay, I forgot to mention that one. Applied lessons, is it clear? Na? Complex numbers, series, matrices, complex numbers, straight line, circle. Then we have permutation and combinations. Permutation and combinations. Permutations and combinations. Limits. Differentiation or as derivatives. 16. integration. Okay, so these are the lessons that we have. But again, just to double check whether did I miss something. So what are these two complex numbers lessons? Did I mention complex numbers in two different places? That one just a mistake. Huh? I forgot that I wrote there. So 7, 8, 9, this one is 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay. So these are the lessons. I think calculus part is the one that goes under limits, differentiation, integration. Those three fall under calculus only. Yeah? Those three fall under calculus only, Moaz. Monday session recording, you can go to my YouTube channel, Arman Teachers Math. So you can go to my YouTube channel and check the recording of Monday. It's there. In a while, I will send the link in the chat box also. Okay. In a while, I'll send the link in the chat box also. Right. Statistics comes in applied. Okay. I still wrote only the pure maths ones. Pure maths also not the, I think something I missed. බලන්න තියෙනවද කියලා. Right. So real numbers, polynomials, rational functions. In this one, we have partial fractions. I forgot to mention inequalities. That's a small lesson. Okay, that's a very small lesson. Inequalities. Inequalities. Index and laws of indices and logarithm. Basically, we say that logarithms. Okay, it's a first term lesson. Here, not in the term mode I'm giving. Right. Right. So those are the lessons that we have in pure maths. Inside these, some of the lessons, inside some of the lessons, we have sub lessons. Straight line lesson, we have coordinates geometry to discuss first. That's another lesson. So there are sub lessons inside these. Inside trigonometry, there are lots of sub lessons. Inside relations and functions, there are sub lessons. Quadratics, there are two sub lessons. The principle of mathematical induction, binomial theorem, complex numbers, those are just direct lessons. There are no any sub lessons in between them. So if you want, quickly write it down. I'll just give 45 seconds again, and then after that, I'll write applied maths. I'll write the applied maths topics for you. No. You misunderstanding. I don't do 2 hours. My classes go for 4 to 5 hours. Today's session goes for 2 hours. Only today's session. Since this is the first session. And since this is during Ramadan we are doing, most of the students are fasting here, right? So taking that into consideration only, I don't know how it goes, right? Since this is the first session, that's why I scheduled from 3:30 to 5:30, right? Next week onwards, bring something to break the fast, right? I'll be taking the session until 7:30, right? I'll be taking the session until 7:30. Moving forward, right? Once I completed up to some level, then during the class, you will get exams every day. In the beginning itself, I can't give you exams without learning anything. So like 1 month or 2 months, once we process everything, inside the class, you will get exam papers apart from the paper class. Paper class is happening separately. That one date or time, I didn't announce anything regarding the paper classes. Inside the class, you will get daily exams, like daily reviews. Okay. Those daily reviews will be discussed in the class. So we need more time in the class, right? So in the beginning itself, suddenly I cannot tell all the classes that I'm doing. If I give you a brief understanding, once we completed some level in the syllabus. For an example, usually I don't go with the NIE provided curriculum order. If you want to go like that, I can't cover the syllabus early. I have kept a promise for 27 A-level batch students that I will be covering up their syllabus by next Jan, which means 6 months ahead the exam, 6 months before the exam. You will understand how beneficial it is when it comes to exams, because physics lecturers will be definitely taking your syllabus until June, July, because physics syllabus is that much big. Mechanics itself takes 1 year to complete. That's the second lesson in the syllabus. You have 11 lessons in physics. Right, 10 to 11 months will be taken to complete only mechanics part. Right, that's that much of a big lesson. So balanced time lesson should be completed in the remaining year. Right, so last moment physics, chemistry will be, you will have a very high workload. So with that, you will not be able to concentrate on combined maths. So as a help to you all, I'll be covering up the combined maths syllabus early. So 2026 A level batch, I kept a promise to cover up the syllabus by February, but because I was in my degree final year. So with the research, it got delayed a little bit, but this month I'll be finishing their syllabus, which is 4 months ahead the exam. I'm covering up the syllabus for 26 A level batch 4 months ahead the exam. 27 A level batch 6 months ahead the exam. For you also 6 to 7 months ahead the exam. So 2028 August you have the exams. 2028 January will be covering up the syllabus, which means if I want to achieve that target, this one time slot is not enough. So definitely moving forward, once you get mature in this subject, still you all are fresh brains. Suddenly if I put lots of classes, you will be definitely burn out, because it's not, you will be starting with this morale. I really like that. Now when I see the participation, I'm really happy with the participation, because you just not even 1 week after the O-levels. No? It's really good, right? Not even 1 week after the O-levels. So you have that morale, right? I don't want to break that, right? I just don't want to break that, because in the beginning itself, if we do the difficult lesson, it will be you will not be continuing this one. I want you all to keep this momentum and work. So slowly we'll build up. After 1 month, 2 months, by that time real numbers, 50% of trigonometry, not the trigonometry, real numbers will be completely done. But within today or next week, real numbers will be over. Relations, functions will be fully done, and then quadratics also fully done, which means one essay question you can complete. In final A level paper, one complete essay question in pure paper you can complete if you complete these 2 parts. Okay, so then you will get a confidence. I can do a past paper now. I can do, which means I can do. What are past papers? Past papers don't ignore. Okay, what are past papers? Except A level exam papers given to the people like you. So writing that paper only, a set of students failed the exam, set of students passed the exam, went to engineering. So you can't find any other resource in Sri Lanka that is standard as past papers. So if you can do past papers, means you have that confidence. So once you get that confidence, this is March, April end, May 1st, 2nd week in a month, you will get 4 theory classes, 2 tutorial classes, and 2 or 3 paper classes, right? So how is it going to happen? By that time, slowly I will have, usually 1 month ahead, I schedule the classes, I inform the students, because you have to plan with your other subjects also. So I usually inform the students, right? So don't misunderstand that only today's session is 2 hours. Actually, I was planning to do only 2 hours during March. Then I thought not to do like that. Only the first session will do 2 hours. From next week onwards to take 4 hours, because I want to complete the syllabus bit early, very early. Then only the last 6 months, you can completely do only papers in theory classes and paper classes both. Paper class papers, theory class also do the papers, right? So 27 batch people know that. Okay, so at the moment I have started and I just post their paper classes. I'll be resuming their paper classes soon after fasting period, right? So they, in their syllabus, they have covered the latter, grade 13 last term lessons also done, some lessons. Statistics, probability done. And then from other side, coordinates, geometry, this one, straight lines done. Okay, now they are going to start calculus, and then in applied mathematics, some areas, right? So quickly write down the applied mathematics topics. Okay, so I think I cleared out that doubt. Right. Now this is pure maths. Now write applied maths. Applied maths is puta. People misunderstand this one as physics. Most of the lessons are having the same name as physics, same concept as physics, but the way of writing the answer is going to be different, not the physics concept. For an example, in physics, they evaluate the physics. In maths, we evaluate the critical thinking, right? So physics, they are not going to give you much of simplifications when it comes to conceptual ideas. In combined maths, we expect the student to think like an engineer and how to apply that in real world. That's what happens in applied maths, okay? So usually students do pure maths properly, they want to applied maths. The reason is lazy to think. They don't want to think. They think that they can just memorize, apply values to the formulas and do. Combined maths. If you want to do combined maths, you have to critically think. Memorizing people. In Sinhala we say, Girava. Parrots cannot be here, okay? People who can think, who wants to think and develop their brains, those do maths. The first lesson we are going to discuss in applied math is vectors, the foundation of applied math. Vectors, if you can't do properly, don't think about other lessons. Number 2, system of coplanar forces. Under this one, we have 2 areas: system of coplanar forces acting at a point, and system of coplanar forces acting on a rigid body. And then third one, equilibrium. And then we have jointed rods, frameworks, work, energy, and power. And then impulse, and collisions. Okay. And then we have work, energy, power, impulse, and collisions. Simple harmonic motion. So don't think that I'm giving the lessons in the syllabus order, okay? I'm not giving in the syllabus order, right? And then center of mass or center of gravity, okay? There's a difference between the center of mass and gravity. So when we discuss the lesson, I will show you how to understand the key difference, okay? Right? All the objects that we discuss, we consider center of mass and center of gravity, both are in the same place. And the motion in a straight line. Motion in a straight line. Then friction. Then relative motion. Under relative motion, we have to discuss these lessons: relative velocity, relative acceleration, and then relative velocity and relative acceleration, only those two. Projectiles. And then I missed one thing. What is it? Probability and statistics. Probability, statistics, Newton's laws. Newton's laws. So basically, it's like a maths version of physics. Huh? Maths version of physics. Right. More interesting, okay? Pure mathematics is like, if I say pure mathematics is like in my nature. Applied mathematics is something that I love. When we discuss applied mathematics, you will understand. But in order to experience the very first applied mathematics lesson, you have to wait until you finish trigonometry. Right. Now, a simple question. All level just finished students, before we start the lesson. In all levels, you did trigonometry, no? There was a lesson called trigonometry, right? So just tell me, in trigonometry, to do the trigonometry theory, model questions, past paper practice, to finish all the things in the class, how many hours you may have taken? Let's say one class is usually 2 hours, no? How many hours you may have taken in the class? 6 hours maximum. 2 hours for the theory, 2 hours for the discussions, and additional 2 hours also will take 6 hours, right? Usually combined maths class goes for about 4 hours, 4.5 hours. With the time being, I'll be taking 5 hours also, right? 5 hours. Additionally, extra sessions will be there, tutorial sessions, right? If we take only the theory classes, let's say average 4 hours with the breaks and all, average 4 hours. How many? How long you think that it will take to complete the trigonometry lesson in A levels? Any idea? All level students, online students. How long will it take to complete the combined mathematics in A levels? Combined mathematics and trigonometry in combined mathematics in A levels. Any idea? No idea. Somewhere around 3 to 4 months. That's average, okay? But if you are completing theory, model questions, last 30 years of past papers, all, then it will be taking around 4 to 5 months, right? And that's the only lesson that much big, okay? Other lessons are not that big. So we call trigonometry as heart of maths. If you don't know trigonometry means, Puta, you don't know combined maths, right? Only few lessons. For an example, polynomial functions, quadratic functions, right? Sometimes trigonometry can be included in quadratics, okay? So to learn the quadratic functions, we don't need trigonometry, right? Modulus functions, to discuss those key areas, discuss the key areas of those lessons, we don't need the trigonometry. But every single applied lesson except for probability and statistics, probability and statistics, probability and statistics, except for these two lessons, all the other lessons in applied maths will need trigonometry. Without trigonometry, you can't do any other lesson. At least a simple application will be there. At least sine ratio application will be there. At least a simple relation will be there from trigonometry in applied maths. And is there any applied maths lesson that we can do without pure maths? No. Pure maths can be done without applied. But applied mathematics cannot be done without pure mathematics. Pure mathematics calculus should be finished in order to do center of mass and center of gravity. Calculus particular, differentiation and integration, both we must complete in order to discuss this lesson. Because this lesson starts with integration. So pure maths is required to learn this one. So what I'm trying to tell, combined mathematics subject Puta interconnected. You can't, I didn't study trigonometry, from next lesson onwards, I'm going to properly study. You can't study because those lessons are interconnected. Trigonometry is heavily needed to understand the complex numbers lesson in pure maths. We raised it now. Complex numbers means real numbers and imaginary numbers together. We call that complex numbers. What are imaginary numbers? You will discuss that one today. Right. Okay. So this is the lessons that I have that we have in our syllabus. Puta, inside these lessons there are subparts also given as a lesson in your syllabus outline or syllabus guide. So don't worry about it. All the subparts will be discussed in these. Right? Under probability, we have two probability, probability 1, probability 2. There are sub lessons. So we'll be discussing those lessons once we are discussing the main lesson. Right? Everything will be discussed. So don't worry about it. Right. Okay, I'm very happy that you are engaging with the session. Right. I will be discussing reviews of algebra, algebraic simplification. Usually, if you take any combined maths class, and anyway, most of the combined mathematics classes, they are going to start with these simplification practices. I also usually start like that, but I thought of doing something different with you guys. Finishing off a lesson and at the end of the lesson discussing the simplification, because to finish off the real numbers lesson, these simplification is not required. The simplifications that we are about to discuss. After real numbers lesson, learning those simplification is better. Then you can keep up the momentum and understand the other lessons, because in other lessons, those simplification methods are needed. Okay. So after real numbers lesson, we'll discuss. Today, we are going to finish our very first lesson, real numbers. Write the topic. Real numbers. Real numbers. Now, how many of your question, why we call that call those numbers as real numbers in O levels? Anyone? Did anyone question your lecturer or the person who taught you, sir, madam, or your brothers or sisters who taught you, right? Did you ask them, or did you ask yourself, why do we add a prefix real in front of the word numbers? Why do we add a prefix real in front of the word numbers? Real numbers. Real numbers. Why? Right. For an example, if someone is saying Arman is lying, in order to give a meaning for that word lying, there should be something else, should be giving another meaning. Truth. Arman is telling the truth. Then only that lying word is have a meaning, right? If someone is saying that bugger is short, that fellow is short, this fellow is tall, this person is fat, this person is thin, you should understand tall cannot exist without short. Short cannot exist without tall. Then real numbers are there means, if real means what? Real means, Putta, these numbers are something that we can feel. If you can feel that, we can't touch, we can feel. If someone is saying number 1, there is only one pen, no? So you feel the quantity, right? We don't understand the quantity, we feel the quantity. There are 2 pens. We feel the quantity, no? We feel the quantity. So the numbers that we actually feel in real life, those are basically real numbers. Now, if someone is asking from math students, Machang, what are real numbers? If you say, Machang, real numbers are numbers that we can feel. Feel, there is nothing, feel keyword. Those people can't understand. So we need a mathematical definition for it. The real numbers are defined like this. Quickly write definition. Definition. Quickly write definition. Write like this. I'll explain. If the square of a selected number, if the square of a selected number is a positive number, if the square of a selected number is a positive number, then that selected number is a real number. Then that selected number is a real number. If the square of a selected number is a positive number, then that selected number is a real number. Then you should come across an argument, sir, whatever the number we select, when we square it, all of us, just basic thing, no, everyone is plus name. That's the place you need the advanced maths. So why did I say real numbers? If we are giving this prefix real, there should be an opposite also. That doesn't mean there are false numbers or fake numbers or unreal numbers. Anyway, we give a nice name. We call them imaginary numbers. Imaginary numbers. Imaginary numbers are something that we can't feel, right? But it exists. We can't feel, but it exists, right? To discuss about imaginary numbers separately, we have a Cartesian XY coordinates plane, which is especially for imaginary numbers, named as Argand plane. What the Argand plane? So where do we discuss about imaginary numbers? Grade 13 complex numbers. There was a lesson called complex numbers. No? In complex numbers lesson, separately, we are going to discuss about imaginary numbers in depth. So imaginary numbers actually exist but not exist. Okay, we can't feel it. But something we can't feel, using those imaginary numbers, Puta, we create engineering concepts. If you take a machine learning model, the forward thinking is happening using the real numbers and reverse thinking is happening using the imaginary numbers. If you take a robotic arm, the forward mechanism is working using the real numbers, backward mechanism is working using the imaginary numbers. If I simply give you an idea, we know why we are learning combined maths. So you have to start from the small one. So start from an interesting topic. We have to start from the one that you need to understand first, right? So this is not you can't. I can start directly straight away start from functions, or I can straight away start from partial fractions. Harata simplifications more interesting. You can do it like a very fun class, right? But no basics. Just at the end of the day, I'm producing machines. Can't think, right? Just getting the result, but can't think. When you go to the university, automatically you will be like separated, mocked. Why you can't think? No, in the middle of 10 thinking people, 2 people are there who can't think, who just memorized the papers and got the results and came to the university, right? And and then when you somehow you get the degree and go to the job industry, practically asking a question, can't answer. You know the subject by what? By memorizing, by heart, not by thinking or not by understanding. From the scratch, you should understand the understanding. Okay. So imaginary numbers we will be discussing separately in complex numbers lesson. Here we are going to give you just an introduction. So Buddha, you should argue with me, square of any number is obviously plus, no? For an example, if I select number 1, 1 squared is equals to 1. Therefore, 1 is an element in set of real numbers. No? This is how we write, no? This is set notation. No? Real numbers notation is this: 1 squared equals to 1. 1 is an element of set of real numbers. 2 squared is equals to 4. 2 squared is equals to plus 4. This is a positive number. Square of the selected number is a positive number. Therefore, selected number is a real number. That's the definition. If I select minus 3 complete square is equals to plus 9. Selected number is minus 3. When we square it, we get plus 9. Therefore, selected number minus 3 is a real number. Right? If you select minus 7 complete square is equals to plus 49. Therefore, minus 7 selected number is a real number. Now listen carefully. Right? And you should understand that combined mathematics subject karnavanang, if you want to do the combined mathematics subject, you should be able to keep your back in one place and study. Right? So usually I see this among the online students. Okay, when it comes to the theory parts, they leave. Theory nato you can't do combined. If you are thinking maths is a subject that you have to do only calculations, you all are wrong. That is O levels. O level you don't have maths, you just have some calculated things. O level you don't have maths. Here's the maths. Maths means theory. Maths is completely depending on definitions, theorems, axioms, corollaries, and proofs. All are theories. Theory only. Calculations are like 1% of maths. You will understand when you discuss the advanced concept of maths. Sorry. Solving a problem means you are explaining your theory understanding. That is maths. Right? So you should understand the difference between O level and A level. With the O level mindset, Puta, finish that O level era, finish that O level age. Now you all have stepped into A levels. A level is different. You have to learn A levels like A levels, right? So if I take minus 8 square is equals to 64. Therefore, minus 8 is a real number. Now you should argue with me. Then how about 0? 0 is not a 0 square. Are you saying 0 square is 0? This is a positive number. That's why this is a real number. You should argue with me. Puta, don't bring this 0% to discussion. Why? 0 is considered as a real number. 0 is used everywhere. But can we prove the existence of 0? Tama 0 is amutu aatal denege. Okay, 0 is it's not troublesome. Hina aatal, right? We can't prove it's really difficult to prove the existence of 0. But without 0, we can't function in maths also. We can't function in maths. 0 is required everywhere. So 0 is an amutu person, okay? It's a very weird person, right? There are some mathematical problems developed based on 0, which is still unsolved. Still, mathematicians are trying to give solutions for it, right? So 0 is a real number, but which something that is deviates from this definition. Now, that's the only number that deviates from this definition, right? Now, so basically every number except 0, if you take when you square it, you get a real number. You get a positive number. You get a positive number. Therefore, that selected number is a real number. If I take minus 1 over 3 and square it, we get plus 1 over 9. Therefore, 1 over 3, minus 1 over 3 is a real number. Fractions also, you can apply the concept. If I take minus 2 over 5, if I square it, we get 4 over 25 plus value. So therefore, minus 2 over 5 is a real number. No problem. Vade hari. Correct. So this is a real number. Then basically every number that we select and square it obviously going to be positive, no? Then why this special name? Just numbers, just giving numbers is enough, no? You should argue. You should ask questions within you. You should ask questions from the lecturers. You should argue with me with your knowledge. Then only we can develop this one and learn, no? You can't just listen, sit there and listen. Yes, whatever Arman sir says, that's correct. Don't stay like that, right? I teach you with my experience. That doesn't mean there are people sitting in front of me who's not knowledgeable than me, so who's not brilliant than me. I can't come to that conclusion. Maybe all the students who's in the live class now, there's a good number of students are there. All the students in the online session, the students in the physical class, at least 1 or 2 people must be there who's having a higher IQ or higher logical thinking than me. Other people can develop it with the time. Other people can come to that level, right? So some people might have already developed that ability. Right? So you should understand that you should argue with me. Then only you will be developing your critical thinking. I can teach you with my experience. I can give you my maths experience and clear out your misconceptions. You should come across the doubt. We should bring up the doubts. Arguments, doubts, gain door. Right. Then Puta, why the numbers are, why separately we have real numbers? So remember, this is an important idea. We say that square root of a negative number, square root, I'll write it big, square root of a negative number is imaginary. You see, square root of minus 5 is not a real number. We say that it's imaginary. From what this definition comes? Here, see, we introduce a person called imaginary unit. Listen carefully. square root of -1, we introduce this one as the imaginary unit. Putha, this is not I, we call that iota. What is it? Iota. It's a Greek letter, okay? Square root of a negative number is not real, which means it's an imaginary number. Imaginary numbers are defined using the imaginary unit. So we call this one imaginary unit. Imaginary unit. Listen very carefully. Huh? Just this introduction is there in real numbers. We are not going to dive deep in the imaginary numbers. We will be discussing the complicated applications, theorems, trigonometry applications regarding this one in complex numbers lesson. So this is just an introduction for this particular area. Now we are discussing the syllabus, okay? This basic idea is really important. Remember, in combined maths, there are areas where we discuss the simple and very sensitive things, Putha. Those sensitive things are not written in your answer sheet, theory note or anything, but you will be needing them to solve the questions in A levels. Right. By the definition, this one is important. I'll write that in red color pen. Don't write anything. Listen. By the definition, I told you in mathematics, everything runs on definitions. Huh? By definitions, square of, here see, iota square is equals to -1. Now here see, square of a select, here, iota is a number. This is a number. This is a number. Square of this iota is -1. This is by definitions. Okay, you will understand why I am giving this one specifically. By the definitions, iota square is equals to -1. Can you see? When we square a number, we didn't get a positive answer, we got a negative answer. So, according to the definitions, there are numbers that exist when we square, we don't get plus answers. We don't get plus answers. Those numbers are not real. Those numbers are imaginary. We don't discuss those parts in O levels. Why I am saying this is by definition? Because students will argue with me like this, not with me. They will definitely argue about this. So I think by definition, this one is also by definition. Nah? This one by definition, okay? By definition. So remember, if in mathematics something is given by definitions, by axioms, if something is given by definitions or by axioms, you cannot argue with that or argue about it. Why is that? That is decided by the person who created maths, by the nation. So in mathematics, there are multiple things. Number one, axioms. Axioms are something that we take as it is without any proof. We don't have a proof. We accept them as it is. It is already existing by the nature. We don't have proofs for that. So these are like axioms. Actually, not axioms, true axioms. We got definitions. By definition, if something is given in maths, we don't need proofs. We have to believe that, and we have to take it. So if we argue with that one, this is wrong, no, then you can't. If anyone argued like that, current engineering won't be there, right? There might be people argued, but they wasn't able to find a proof for these things. These are by definitions. Mathematicians define square root of the negative number as the imaginary unit. Notation given to is iota. By definitions, iota square is equals to -1. So we do have numbers whose square is equals to a negative number. So the numbers when we square, if we get a positive number, we get real numbers. If we square a number, if we get a negative number instead of a positive number, which means that selected number is an imaginary number or is not a real number. How those types of numbers are coming from by definitions like this, right? So by definition, only the iota square is minus 1. By definition, only minus 1 square root is equals to iota. By definition, okay, this is given to us. Iota square is equals to minus 1 given to us. But students will argue, so I think minus 1 is equals to iota is given to us, no? When we square both sides of the equation, square root and square is cancelling out, right? Square root and square is cancelling out. So we get minus 1 is equals to iota square, no? So why they have to give that one by definition? We can directly get the answer, no? You can argue. You have to argue because this is something that you know, right? Squaring both sides and getting. You should argue. So when there's a method exists like this, how do you say that there is no proof for this one? This is coming by definition. How you can say that? You should argue with me. Apata, remember, laws of indices. The laws of indices or as index laws that you learn in O levels, and you will be learning that in A levels as well, is not possible to apply for imaginary numbers. Okay. So, but you will get the correct answer. No, why you are saying you are not possible to apply? Only for these kind of selected number of situations, it's correct. Most of the situations when it comes to imaginary numbers, remember, laws of indices is not going to give you the correct answer. What's the idea? Once again, remember, when we select a number and square that number, the number that we get is a positive number now. Once again, we pick a number, randomly pick a number, square it. If you get a positive answer, that's a real number, which means the selected number is a real number. We pick a number, we square it, we get a negative answer. So the number that we pick was not a real number. How that idea is coming? By definitions. We define imaginary unit minus 1's square root as iota. That's by definition, right? The person who's ruling maths, the god of maths have decided it, so believe it. By definitions, iota square is given as minus 1. Iota square is given as minus 1. We cannot come across an argument iota square equals to minus 1 from this process. From this process, it's not coming. This, even though iota square is equals to minus 1 can be taken using the laws of indices process here. Why I'm saying laws of indices? When we square both sides, this is minus 1 to the power half. No? Power of a power rule, half times 2 is 1. Right? When you basically index simplification is there. So we get iota square is equals to minus 1. This process is completely wrong. Why it is wrong? We cannot apply laws of index for imaginary numbers. Imaginary numbers. Laws of index we cannot apply laws of index for the imaginary numbers. This one is coming by definition. So there exist some numbers whose square is minus 1. Whose square is minus 1. Right? So for an example, if we take square root of minus 5, this one can be written as square root of minus 1 times square root of 5. We can write it as square root of minus 1 is defined as iota root 5. We can write like this. So Puta, if you see an I notation, iota notation in front of a root number or in front of a number, remember that's an imaginary number. This is not a real number. This is an imaginary number. This one just an idea. We will be we are just mentioning that one here, still not discussing in depth. In depth, we will be discussing in complex numbers lesson. To understand this one's definition, I just mentioned that. So I have to show you maths is different than O-level maths. So just mention that one. So imaginary unit is defined as iota. Imaginary unit square is equals to -1. It's coming by definition. The idea is if we get a negative square root, we can separately write like this. No? -1 times 5 is equals to -5. No? -1 square root is equals to iota, iota root 5. So the same thing here, see, square root of -5. When I square it, which means I'm actually squaring whom? This person. Square root of 5 is a real number. Make a real number. This one is a real number. Why is that? 5, no, not -5. But this one is an imaginary number. We know iota square is by definition -1. Multiplied by 5 square is, root 5 square is 5. Here, you should not get confused. Huh? This one is by definition. This one's answer we are getting by laws of indices because it's a real number. It's a real number. So we get minus root 5 square is equals to 5. So square root of -5, when we square it, by definition, we get -5. By definition, we get -5. So there are numbers whose square is not a positive number. So these are imaginary numbers. So square root of -5 is an imaginary number. So that's the ultimate idea. Right. So that's how the definition of real numbers goes. Just to prove the definition of real numbers, I took the idea of imaginary numbers, Puta. After this one, just a theory understanding is there, just a theory discussion is there for the next few minutes, right? So before I do the theory discussion, quickly, if you have to write down something carefully, first of all, write this, below that one, write this thing, Puta, carefully, and then I'll give you a small note. Write this, below that one, write this one, and then I'll give you a note. Get used to this. Combined maths puta theory we can't type and give. Theory type karla denawa nang eka combined maths nevi, it's going to be a biology class. Right. One student already asked about 0, no? What about 0? Very good. So do we represent any image number with I? Iota. I, yes. So does it mean only iota is the imaginary number? Iota is not the imaginary. That's a good question. Iota root 5, when iota is combined, this entire thing is imaginary. A imaginary number k, this part is puta real part. Imaginary numbers, this part is real part. Okay, it's multiplied with the imaginary unit, so becomes entire part becomes an imaginary number. Okay. And many students ask about the class fees. Okay, I will inform the institute as well. And this month, Puta, I'll be taking half month fee, not the full month fee. Okay, because the first 2 sessions are going to be free of charge. Next is also going to be an open session, but it's going to be 4-hour session until 7:30. Okay, so usually the class fees goes 3,500 for both online and physical, and both people will receive the tutorials, type printed tute, you will get it. So today also I have printed lots of tutes, right? Where the tutes I have enough number of tutes. This is just a A5 size tute for the foundation course. Anita A5 size tute, you will get a big nice study tute for the questions, right? So those are for lessons. Lesson wise lesson, you will get tutorials separately, papers separately, right? And your performance are tracked through a dedicated LMS. So monthly fee is 3,500. This month you have to pay the half of this one, okay, 1,750. So pay that amount to the Satya College's bank account for Satya College students. Those who have came through MathLab Education's contact, you can contact me and pay the amount to the MathLab Education's account. Okay. So, however, if there's an online student who wants to register for the classes, you can feel free to drop a message to me mentioning that your name and the institute that you got to know me, whether it's through your friend or whether it's through Sateha College, right? So mention that one and send me a message. So I will guide accordingly. I will be guiding you accordingly. Okay, don't worry about it. Right. Now below this one, right? Below this one, right? Completed writing, finished writing. Shall I read? Shall I give you the note? So how come minus 5 square, minus 5 is square root of minus 5, okay? Square root, not minus 5 square. It's square root is there. The root sign is there, can you see? Minus 5 is 5 squared is equals to 25. Here did I make a mistake somewhere? No? No, right? We have square root of 5. So to show that the relevant number is an imaginary number is that must to mark iota in front of that. If you get a root of a negative number, it means it's imaginary. But usually we represent the imaginary number using an iota. This one is here, mega kataine, right? This one is kataino. So to write it nicely, we write the imaginary number like this. Iota is mentioned as the imaginary unit. Okay, we define. Shall I erase this part? Shall I erase this part? Huh? Right, listen here, see. The students are asking why that iota is mentioned in front of the number. Here, see. Square root of minus 7. This is already imaginary. This is already imaginary. Okay? This is already imaginary. Menna meya puta is equals to, since this imaginary representation is like usually we write everything beautifully. So you ask me, just to beautify things, do we introduce something like that? Why not? Take trigonometry, you will understand in trigonometry. Actually, Babylonians were the people who introduced trigonometry to this world. They actually found that those days their idea was sun was rotating around earth, not the earth is rotating around sun. Their idea was sun was rotating around earth. Then later on mathematicians developed it as earth is rotating around sun. Now we know that the path is not a circular path, it's a elliptic path, or as elliptic path or oval shaped path, right? But those days they have taken that one as a circular path. It's a circular path. That was the idea. So they found that around sun, for the earth, to rotate around sun, for earth it takes somewhere around 366 days. Their calculation was 366 days, not 365. Okay, 366 days. So using 366, doing the calculations and doing the divisions was difficult. So what Babylonians did was, they are very good at maths. Okay, so what Babylonians did was, they converted around sun, earth rotates, to complete a full rotation it takes 366 days according to their calculation. They converted this down to, or has reduced this number of days to 360. Right? Koindumi 360 aave. Because Babylonians were unable to do the calculations using 366 number. Right? So now this is the one that we converted as angle, and taking one, if the circle is divided into 360 equal parts, if the circumference is divided into 360 equal parts, one part subtends an angle in the center, that one is defined as 1 degree. So like that, around the point we have 360 degrees. We'll be discussing this one also nicely in the very trigonometry. I'm just telling. So in mathematics, lassana karanna karapu වැඩවලින් තමයි maths is running. There are many things in maths used, or else there are logical reasonings behind this 360. I'm not going to mention those logical reasonings now. Then what's the purpose of doing the trigonometry lesson by that time, right? So okkoma දැන් කිව්වනේ maths වල ආතල් යනවනේ, right? So we have to keep that maths ආතල්, hold it. There are lots of things, right? Something that you never experienced, you're going to experience here. So same as that, Puta, root minus 7 is imaginary, but when it comes to calculations, to make our calculations more convenient and more easy, we rewrite that one using the imaginary unit. We rewrite that one using the imaginary unit. So what we do is, square root of minus 7, we know that it's minus 1 times 7, right? Minus 1 times 7. We can give the square root separately. Square root of minus 1 times square root of 7. This one is equals to, square root of minus 1 is defined as iota root 7. Iota root 7. So when it comes to complex numbers lesson, you will understand, instead of having the imaginary number this way, writing the imaginary number using iota or imaginary unit is easy to do the simplifications or easy to understand the properties. That's why we write like this. Okay, I hope I answered the questions. Harane? Oh, good. Okay. Now, where did we start? What are real numbers? If you pick a number, square the number. If the answer is positive, that number that you picked is a positive number, is a real number. You pick a number, when you square it, if you do not get a negative, do not get a positive number, which means that selected number is not a real number. Then is there any number that exists when we square that gives a negative answer? Yes. How do we understand that one? Where do we learn those parts? From imaginary numbers. By the definition, square root of minus 1 is defined as imaginary unit. By the definition, square of the imaginary unit is given as minus 1. So there are numbers, when we square it, we get negative answers. So basically, if a number, there exist some numbers whose square is a minus, which means those numbers are not real. So to give an evidence to uphold the definition of real numbers, I just gave this idea of imaginary numbers. You don't have to worry about what are these imaginary numbers, how we are going to do the calculations using that. You're going to do more and more calculations. You have calculations in imaginary numbers, in complex numbers lesson. Usually, most students skip complex numbers topic in A-level exams because they don't complete the theory part properly, because that's one of the difficult lessons in the syllabus. That's by the name itself you can understand complex numbers. Not because the name is complex, the lesson is complex. Complex name for the lesson came because complex numbers are a combination of real numbers and imaginary numbers both. That's why we call that complex numbers. Okay, so study of complex numbers, we'll do it in our grade 13 lesson. So now don't worry about it. Here I just gave you an understanding to evidence or to support the definition of real numbers. Definition of real number says that if you pick a number, square it. If you get a positive number, you get the picked number is a real number. Question is there any number the square is negative? Yes, imaginary numbers. So this is the proof that the definition of real numbers is valid. Just to give that understanding, I gave you this. So don't get confused. Right. Now, I hope you are completed writing that one. Now from this point, we are going to discuss only the real numbers. Now you don't have to do any writing, Puta. Just topically, just an example writing is more than enough. Right? Deep definitions is not required because this particular lesson's note is already given in the reviews of basic algebra 2. I mean, the part that we are going to discuss after this one. The first few parts only I didn't include in the tube because that one A-level topic, A-level areas I usually read. Right. Now write the subtopic, subsets of set of real numbers. Subsets of set of real numbers. Now Puta, idea of numbers, actually mathematics is born from where? Where do you think? Any idea online? From where did mathematics was born? What was the idea, or as which was the key point for the birth of maths? Maths ke patan kya makotan, right? Yeah. Online? Any idea? Real number. Okay. So I would have minus 1 root, yes. So we assume instead of root of minus, I didn't get you, Nashad. So does it mean iota is equals to root of minus 1? Does it mean I have written that one already? Is that a question again? So also we have, as we have to value root 25 as 5, do we have to value root 25 also? Root 25 here, square root of 25 is a real number, no? It's not a negative number, no? It's 5. Because when you square this one, you get 25, right? This one you can directly write it, actually, plus or minus 5. We'll discuss about it later. Just let's think like this. Square root of minus 25 is iota root 25, which means iota 5, right? Minus 1 times 25, minus 1 square root is iota, root 25 is 5. Okay, I think I answered your question, Fatima, right? I gave you that one as a definition. Right. Right, subsets of set of real numbers. Listen carefully. Where did this math start? Sets. From sets. From the moment that this world was created, people knew that these are boys, these are girls. Now the current world people don't know who's a boy, who's a girl. That's a different story. Sri Lankan people know. If you go to America, you will be very much confused, right? If you go to Thailand, you will be very much confused, right? So this is not something that we have to like that's real. That's something happening in the world, no, right? There are some mentally ill people also who's having their own community, and I have seen this. I don't know whether you have seen these these things or not. I don't know how authentic this source is, but I got a documentary, actually video documentary with the video evidence and all. I don't know whether it's a fake video or an original video. A boy and a girl, right, by birth, biologically a boy and a girl, they identify themselves as opposite, like boy identify himself as girl and girl identify herself as boy, right? And those two people have pets who are humans, but that a boy is holding with a do you call it a collar, this thing, collar chain, right? That person was barking. Means he is saying that that person identified himself as a dog. He is a dog soul trapped in a human body. It's very confused, okay? That's how the world is working. So you should be very careful. But mathematics speaks the truth. Maths have only two sections, binary, ones and zeros. From maths only electronics comes, right? Ones and zeros. Maths knows distinctly how to identify sets. When the world was created, when the human beings were sent to this world, people knew that these are men, these are women. These are crows, these are cows, these are dogs, these are cats, these are sheep, these are elephants, these are giraffes, these are this. People knew, right? So distinct characteristics were observable. So based on these distinct characteristics that is observable only, the theory of sets is developed. So core of mathematics is actually coming from set theory. In university level, you have to learn about this one separately. Logic and set theory. Abstract, it's actually the discrete mathematics area. Eta calling logic and set theory. The people who's willing to do your higher education or your future works in IT, you will be heavily needing this set theory idea. You will be needing this set theory idea heavily. Set theory nattam puta, it will be really difficult for you to understand the mathematical computations or as computations that you have to do using maths. Set theory is very important. Logic is very important. Electronics, logic gates, those areas are very important. Complex numbers, heavily used. Linear algebra, calculus, probability, statistics. These are areas that is used in machine learning and AI. If you take machine learning models are running through statistical models, right? Based on probabilities, based on calculations, based on assumptions, based on predictions. Predictions are coming through probability, right? Calculations of uncertainty is coming through probability. Probability is actually based by or is backed by whom? Set theory. Set theory is not there, probability is not there. Probability is not there, statistics not there. Probability stat is not there, machine learning not there, AI is not there. Right? If there is no maths, nothing that we experience in this real world you can actually experience. Right? Maths natta mugutne. So basically everything coming from set theory. So when people ancient day people, they didn't knew something called real numbers or imaginary numbers or right? They knew how many wives do I have, how many sheep that I have, how many cows are there, how many eggs that I can get from one hen. That's the only thing that they know, right? So their ultimate goal was to keep a track on that one. Right? Their ultimate goal was to keep a track on that one. So when they saw a singular property, they gave a name as one. Singular property. This is, if I show you this one, how many pens are there? How many pens are there? Online should answer, okay? One. You can unmute, you can type and say. How many pens are there? One. How do you know it is one? How do you know it is one? Right, another fun thing. Just question yourself. 1 plus 1 is equals to 2. How do you know that it is 2? Don't tell me, sir. If you take 2 pens, 1, so this is 1, so this is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2. And so small grades, didn't you go to school in primary? Red color they count 1, take another one. Now 1 plus 1 is 2. They teach that, no, sir, you don't know that 1 plus 1 is 2. I also thought that I know that 1 plus 1 is 2. But in university, until I had to prove that 1 plus 1 is 2. You had to prove this. Right? We know that any number multiplied by 1, 2 times 1 is equals to 2. But university, we have to prove that 2 times 1 is equals to 2. Okay? We can't believe it. We have to prove it. Just because someone said that this one is 1, why you are believing that? What if the very first person who got this singular property as the 1 was wrong? What if it is wrong? You have to question. You have to think maths in that aspect. Okay, O-level wage nikan sir is telling everything, I write. Sir is telling everything, I write. Gompa. Terumanne. You all are just typical mechanical people. Basically, Sri Lankan education system made robots. No use to the world, no use to the industry. You will not get jobs, you will not have a future. Thinking. You have to question. And I wrote 1 as this notation 1. If I say 1 in your head, the number goes like this 1. Oh, 1. What if a person who wrote number 1 for the very first time, or the people who wrote the number 1 for the very first time, wrote number 1 as this. Then now if someone is telling, Puta, write 2122, then number 1 as this and number 2 as this. Let's see, 2122. What happens? Then remember, mathematics is something backed by the nature but developed by men or as human introduced concepts. Backed by nature, human introduced concepts, human introduced notations. So basically, mathematics is something that we understood from nature, we developed it from nature, and then we put a layer on that, which is what put some areas in nature abstract, we can't understand. So we put a layer which is called maths, and maths ki layer ka dala we try to understand it. That layer is actually we build it. So we build the aspects of the nature based on what we build. So fortunately, most of the concepts are still we assume or we presume to be true. That's why apitamu bayanatu aeroplane is flying. We get into the aeroplane and go to another country. Right? That trust. What if Newton's laws were wrong? Actually, Einstein was the one who told the correct thing. Right? According to Newton, time is absolute. According to Einstein, time is relative. Absolute means what? Absolute means for everyone, time runs the same way. But according to Newton, the person sitting here, your time is running in a different way. For me, the time running in a different way. The people who's in online, for them, time runs in a different way. That is Einstein's physics. Relative. Right? Actually, that's the correct one. Right? But by taking the time as absolute, we developed GPS, right? We developed time frames. We developed basically everything that we do based on time. We are thinking that time is absolute. Is our tasks affected by that? No. So basically, we live in a frame that created by Asputa. If you go out of this frame, you will be called a madman. Definitely. So even though we have to think out of the box, right? It's going to be thinking out of the box compared to the other person, but still you're going to be in the same frame, right? So what is our ultimate goal? Becoming a genius within the frame, right? Going outside the frame. Now, if you take Einstein physics, Einstein's things and all, though that person's most of the concepts, especially the theorem related to the relativity, goes out of the box, out of the frame. So most people are not going to touch that. They're not. There are two types of physics: Einstein physics and Newton physics. We mostly use Newton physics. In your A-level physics, we have only Newton physics. Einstein physics is not there. Einstein physics we can't discuss. It's really difficult, right? So basically, that's what an extra idea, right? Just to make the combined math spice up, I just told you these are the things that a combined maths person should think of. If we discuss these kind of things in O levels, most of the people in O levels are commerce students, and the people who's not willing to do maths, no, those people are not going to put the attention and going to listen to this. For them, these are like shit. Why the hell I should I know this one? Actually, commerce students don't want relative acceleration. That person don't want relative velocity. If they know the addition, subtraction, debit and credit, that's enough for them, right? We are different, huh? Right? So basically, we are working based on concepts that mostly developed by the humans only, right? So sets is the one that the core or the beginning of maths from sets, right? For an example, inside the classroom, if I bring, let's say, from every class. Now within this institute, at the moment, all the students, I'm asking them to come and sit in this classroom. Do I have to tell them girls sit separately, boys sit separately? No, I don't have to tell. They will automatically sit separately. Why? They know they are set. So set is coming by nature. So people wanted to understand, keep a track on what they have. So they started with counting. If they see a single property, they just named it as 1. If they see similar 2 properties, they just named it as 2. 3 nang 3. So basically, they were able to see countable elements. So they introduced what? They came up with a concept called counting numbers. Counting numbers. And those days, natural disasters were not like today. Heavy natural disasters were there. Suddenly when there's a flood, all their sheep are gone, the entire farm is cleaned out, wiped out. So they don't have anything. Then they have 0 things. They have nothing. Empty. Empty. To represent the emptiness, they came up with an argument 0. So people conceptually or by nature they said 0. But that 0 plays a greater role like another level role in maths. Okay. Right? I kind of like 0. I kind of hate 0. So in some areas, 0 is like Maravadya. In some areas, 0 is kind of a hero. It saves us actually. Right? So you will understand those things in further maths when we discuss. So concept of 0 comes. So when the 0 comes, they understood that when there is something actually exists, we are counting from 1. No? When there is 0, we are not starting to count from 0. No? So the counting number set was outdated. So they wanted to give a new name. When they decided to give a new name, they realized that every number that we have in counting numbers have equal magnitude but opposite value. What are they? Minus numbers, negative numbers, opposite. So they wanted to define 0 as a plus number and a minus number. So they realized that this 0 is something, emptiness is I have, I gave. So I don't have anything. I had 1, I gave 1, now I don't have anything. I had 2, I gave both, I lost both of them, I don't have anything. So plus 2, minus 2, plus 3, minus 3. So they realized every number that we get in positive side have an equal value from the negative side also. That's the basic idea where the negative numbers were coming. Right? But that negative numbers plays a major role when it comes to vectors. If a vector is multiplied by a negative number, it changes its direction. It changes its direction. You will discuss that one in vectors lesson. It completely changes its direction. A vector is going in this direction means applied in this direction. I multiplied that one with a minus number. Vector directly changes to the other side and comes like this. Okay. So what are vectors? You have a basic idea now. All of us, what are vectors? Which physical quantity which has a magnitude and a direction. Same thing. Now here we are discussing complete full lesson, and you will get a half of an essay question from there. There will be a full 14th essay question in applied paper. Part A is from vectors, somewhere around 80 marks, 60, 70, 80 marks maximum allocated for the vectors part. Right? The balance part is for system of coplanar forces. A paper structure. So people realize there are a 0 is to represent emptiness. Positive numbers are there, negative numbers are there. So they wanted to upgrade the what? Set. So now they came up with an idea, what put a set of integers. Something called set of integers, starting with counting numbers. 1, 2, 3, and so on. And then once the 0 was introduced and the negative numbers were found, they introduced set of integers. This is the notation. from negative side, from negative infinity, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on, like this. From this one, we can get subsets only positive integers if you take 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Only negative integers we take -1, -2, -3, and so on. If you take positive integers including 0, then 0 included 1, 2, 3, and so on. These notations, remember, okay? These notations are important because maths, usually the questions are given in terms of notations. Huh? I will show you an example. Listen carefully. Now, let's say why these notations are important. Brief idea. Listen carefully. Listen very carefully. Let's say you have there's a statement. There's a function that is valid for all x in real numbers, not just real numbers, positive real numbers. In exams, they won't say that we are taking only positive x values. That statement won't be there. Instead of giving that complete sentence, they will just finish like this. They will just finish like this. When the student sees this one, they should understand x is an element in positive real numbers including 0, which means this one. Then if they are saying x can be only positive numbers, not 0, then 0 is not there. So you should be able to reading this notation. So we'll be discussing about the domain, codomain, range, image, and all in functions lesson, relations. So in that I will be discussing these areas also. Okay. There's a separate area we have discussed as relations. Okay. How many of you did ICT in all levels? Online? Raise your hand. How many of you did ICT in all levels? Right. The other one is health. Nobody's going to do health. Right. Have you heard about something like this in database management systems? One-to-one relation, one-to-many relation, many-to-many relation. That one you are learning in maths. That one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-many, many-to-one, those relations, from those we are getting a category functions. So O-level you studied, O-level in mathematics you studied something called functions. No? Where did you study that one? Drawing graphs. That one is coming from these relations. So database, you discuss only the functions part. Mathematics, you discuss only the drawing the graph part. In A-level maths, we learn the functions, we connect that one with, we learn the relations, we connect that one with the idea of functions, from functions how the quadratic functions comes, from that how the graphs comes, what the core behind it, what's happening there, everything will be discussed in A-level maths. So basically, everything that you studied in all levels is going to be proved, and why key question answer is going to be given here. All levels you are just doing that one without asking the question why this is happening. No, here everything you have to ask the question why. For that why, there is a reason. That reason is going to be the entire combined math syllabus. Okay, right. So after this, when the fractions were introduced, or fractions were discovered, invented, when the fractions were discovered, people were able to put all of these plus the other decimal values and other fractional values into a single set called rational numbers. Rational numbers, which is denoted by double striped Q. And rational numbers defined like this. And this is same as O levels I'm writing, only O levels I'm writing. Listen carefully, Putha. Rational numbers are fractions such that To write this part, you can use a line like this or as two dots like this. I'm pretty sure that all of us you used this, right? Now here we put a line. Okay, that's the only difference. Same thing. Rational numbers are fractions. Why I write it as a over b? Because fractions have a numerator and a denominator. Rational numbers are fractions such that both numerator and the denominator are real numbers, actually integers, but denominator is not equals to 0. This is how we define the rational number. There's another definition. I'm not going to give you that one because this one is the most important one that we need to discuss. Rational numbers are fractions. How do we define it? Both numerator and the denominator are integers. Denominator is not equals to 0. Let's think about this a little bit. If the denominator should not be equals to 0. Puta, as an additional note, I'm just giving this one for you. We will be discussing this one when it comes to asymptotes discussion. Okay. Asymptotes discussion वल्दी अभी कथा करना in future lessons. In mathematics, we have some situations which are undefined. For an example, first one is any real number divided by 0. Any real number divided by 0 is puta undefined. This one don't have a value. We usually take it as infinity, right? Some people usually take it as infinity, but maths people, if someone is asking, what is 5 divided by 0? Don't say infinity. If someone is asking, what is 5 divided by 0? What you should say? Undefined. It's not defined. We don't have an answer for that. It is undefined, right? 0 divided by 0. This one, puta, cannot be defined. What does it mean? Undefined means still there is no definition. Still there is no any answer. It's undefined. But one day you become a good mathematician, and if you can bring up a good argument to get a closer value or a value for these kind of expressions, then there is a definition. That's why it's undefined. Tama undefined. Still, there is no any logical reasoning provided by any mathematician for these kind of things. So 1 over 0, 2 over 0, 3 over 0, any number divided by 0 is undefined. But 0 over 0 cannot be defined. Mathematicians seal gahala ivarai. No one can define it. So 0 over 0 cannot exist. If you get 0 divided by 0 in any kind of a practical situation, which means that situation is actually happening with the miracle of Almighty, right? Everything is happening like that. But it's very, very unusual. Very unusual means actually impossible to happen, right? If you get an answer 0 over 0, it's impossible to happen, right? 0 over 0 cannot be defined. Same as that, infinity divided by infinity, undefined. Make it undefined. Infinity divided by infinity, don't say that, so infinity and infinity can't be cut and take it as 1. Oh, we can't. Why? Infinity is something conceptual. We can never experience infinity. We can never reach infinity. Infinity is something conceptual, right? If you take two parallel lines, people say that these two parallel lines will be meeting in infinity. If you try to find the infinity and start a journey, right, you will have to spend hundreds, let's say you live for 100 years, you will have, even though you spend 1,100 years to find the pathway, find the infinity, you can't find it. That's why infinity is conceptual. Infinity cannot be what experienced. We can't feel infinity. So we don't know what kind of an infinity is it, what kind of infinity and infinity we can't cut. So this is undefined. This is undefined, right? So that's just an additional thing. So if you get a number, let's say 1.5, if I want to check whether it is rational or not, what do we do? Write it as a fraction, 15 over 10. This is an element here, see? Both numerator and the denominator are integers. First condition satisfied. Denominator is not equals to 0, satisfied. So this is a rational number. That one is a rational number. Like this, you can check for many other things. All levels. So I'm not going to write more examples. I have to quickly finish this one's discussion because මේකත් එක්ක real numbers main part is done. With that, we have to discuss one more important thing. For that one only, I'll be taking time. Right. If I take square root of 3 over 2, this one is not an element in set of integers. This one is an element in set of integers. Right? But and denominator is not equal to 0. Only the second condition satisfied, first condition failed, no? Both numerator and the denominator, both should be elements of set of integers. Both should be elements of set of integers. One is not. So therefore, what does it mean? This is not a rational number. That is not a rational number. So that's how we check rational numbers. And online students, I waited until the last moment to see who's actually willing to do this. Wait, I will send you the tute. This tute I still didn't start to discuss. Labana sati me tute එක තමයි discuss කරන්නේ. Wait a minute. Once you registered, let me know, Puta, because I will be sending the printed tutes. I'll be sending the printed tutes. Once you registered, let me know. And so I'm pretty sure that some of the physical class students might have joined online because due to this fasting period, during the fasting period, after fasting period, please try to join physical. If you can join physical, right? Online because if you can understand the things in online, it's right. But most of the people who try to join online, but physical used people are there, they can't concentrate on online. Okay, no matter how the delivery is, no matter how the video quality is, that doesn't matter. They can't keep their concentration continuously in one place online. Now this is 2 hours to 4 hours again. So if you can't keep your concentration online, if you know your capacity, then come physical and do. Those who can do online, but online is the best option for you because transportation time is free, is saved, transportation amount is saved, and then to get ready and come to the class, you have to allocate a separate time to get ready. No, it's 30 minutes saved, right? After you go home, you have to take a rest due to the tiring, right? It's 30 minutes, that one is saved. So online is actually kind of a platform that you can save most of the time, right? So nearly somewhere around 2 to 3 hours you can save, right? Transportation 1 hour, right? And then half an hour, and then getting ready and waiting for the bus sometime, right? And then after that, after the class, you have to go home. Sometimes you are going home during the traffic time. After you go home, you have to take a small rest, drink your tea, and 3 hours gone. One paper in maths is 3 hours. So you're basically losing 3 hours time, right? One complete is a full paper clear time you are going to spend in transportation, and so just to take a small rest. So online is going to be a platform which saves you a lot of time, because A-level people must need time. You have to do works like this is like, I slowly I'll guide you how long you have to work, how you have to work for maths. Other subjects, other lecturers will help you, but usually for every subject I help. For if you take my 26 A-level, 27 A-level students, how to work for physics, how to work for chemistry, how to work for maths, how to work for ICT, I actually follow up them and get the work done for all 3 subjects. Otherwise, you guys are not going to work, right? So I okay, so I have given them a task tracker also. For you also I will give. So the guidance will be provided. But if you can't keep the concentration online, if you don't have that ability, come physical and do the work. If you are a person who can keep your attention 100% through online and complete the tasks properly, join online and complete the work. Either way, my content delivery is not gonna change. Okay, online people, your performance tracked through the LMS. So එතකොට same physical class experience you're gonna get. Don't worry about it. Right. Today I didn't ask many questions from you because by calling your name, usually even though there are 30 students, I call all 30 students names and ask questions in the class to keep the attention. Since the lesson was easy and this is the very first session, I didn't do that. From next session onwards, get ready that your names will be called out, right? Recording pause karala, okay? And I'll be asking whether you understood it or not to answer for a question on the board, right? I'm not going to make you very uncomfortable in the class, but if you're willing to answer, you can answer, right? Okay, so now under subsets of set of real numbers, just write down this one. No need to write paragraphic notes. Okay, I did not write one set puta. This set is what we refer as set of natural numbers. Set of natural numbers means this. Some mathematicians argue that the zero also should be included in set of natural numbers, but most of the mathematicians agree not to take zero as a part of set of natural numbers. Zero should not be considered as natural numbers. In exam, if they give you x is an element in set of natural numbers, you have to consider from 1, not from 0. If a value, if a variable is in the set of natural numbers, obviously you should start with 1 only. Understood? Right. Okay, so quickly write this one. One more idea is to discuss. Eka mama discuss karanawa in our next session. Next session starts at 3:30 and it is also a free session. This month's class fee is half month fee puta. Okay, I will inform the institute also. So online register from third week onwards, only you have to register and join. Next week also you can join open. The links will be provided in your groups. And today's session puta, the lesson must be boring because this one is a theory lesson. Next week we are going to discuss the calculations part, practicing part. So next week we have to discuss lots of calculations to understand or manipulate the simplification methods. Manipulating the simplification methods. Right. So apart from that, if there's anything to ask, sir, decimal numbers are considered as real numbers. Yes. One. Umar Hashmat. Sir, even whole numbers are rational, right? Yes, because the denominator is 1. Yes, correct. I didn't write those examples here. Correct. Good. Taught in pre-grades. Pre-grades in database. So can't we put infinity into cannot be defined? Infinity cannot be defined because infinity is something that is undefined. We don't put undefined. But if you bring up an argument, infinity is also undefined. No, I accept it. Infinity is something that we can't feel, which means basically undefined only, right? Sir, can't we put a cannot be defined away? We can say undefined. We can't say cannot be defined. Okay. Physical where is a residence? Sateha College Dematakoda or Sateha College Dehiwala. You can come physical classes at Sateha College Dematakoda or Sateha College Dehiwala. Okay. Search in Google Maps, Sateha College, SATEHA, Dematagoda, or Sateha College, Dehiwala. If you are living in Colombo, okay, if you are a student outside Colombo, I think you have to join online. But if you are a student outside Colombo and wants to join the classes, but only option is online, what to do? Drop a message to me. Okay, I will guide you how to work online in my classes. It's got outside Colombo people. There are people outside Colombo who wants to join my classes but have to come physical but can't come physical. Only option is to join online. So paune. So for those people separately, I'm guiding them separately. But there are people in my 27 batch who's coming from outside Colombo, means not from like Kandy or anything, but from Beruwala to Colombo, Malvana to Colombo, එන ළමයි ඉන්නවා මගේ physical classes. Not like from Eastern to Colombo එන ළමයි very rare. Okay, right? But if you want to come, you can come and go. But the thing is, in a weekday, it's very difficult. Weekends, no problem. Friday night, you can go, no? Right? Friday night, you can come to Colombo, stay somewhere. Saturday morning, come to the class. That's possible. But Saturday, Sundays, we don't have classes. We haven't weekdays because Saturday, Sundays, I have kept it dedicatedly for the paper classes in future. I will tell you when is that. Not soon, like they next week they are the other week එහෙම paper class start කරන්න. To in order to start paper classes, we had first of all finish up to some level in the syllabus, right? Probably soon after completing the quadratics, I will be starting the paper classes based probably from June onwards. First phase of the paper class is going to happen fully online. Second phase is going to happen hybrid. Third phase is going to happen physical separately and online separately. Okay, so there are 3 phases for the paper classes. You will get the idea one by one, everything in one time, one go. It's really difficult. Not 2 years plan. I know when I have complete lesson plan for when to finish this lesson, when to finish this lesson, when is the term exam, when is the spot exam. Complete plan is there. So that one will be given to you as a printed one. You can put ticks and keep a track on them. Okay, once you registered. Then my value will be going, no, right? Now if I give, my value is gone because my resources are going out. That one is provided exclusively for my class students, my tutors, right? This tutor I gave it as a free to take away. Other tutors, because I'm referring to Oxford, Cambridge, and then university reference books refer karala. Whatever the reference books that is used to prepare your syllabus, those resource books I'm preparing using to prepare the questions in your tutors. So I don't want my tutor questions to go out because those questions were made and taken solidly from the resources which is used to develop your syllabus. Professors la use karnaane pot. Those are the resource books that we are using, most of the books that we are using in our degree qualification. So eva use kaladama your tutors are prepared, including past papers also. So I don't want past papers giyata awulak ne, no problem, right? My questions, I don't want them to go out. Why is that? Because those are intellectual properties. Good things are coming for the people who comes to the good classes, right? So once you're registered, you will get the tutorials one by one, everything not at once, one by one, lesson by lesson, you will get the tutorials and all. So did you put the PDF in the chat box? Yes, dear, I put. Let me share it again. Okay, I shared. එහෙනම් පුතා, next week class starts at 3:30 p.m. right, and goes till 5:30 p.m. Listen, na. Well, and then 10 minutes break, and then after that from 5:40 p.m. to 6:20 p.m. then you will get a 15 minutes break. Enough to breakfast, right? 15 minutes break, and then 6:35 p.m. to 7:35 p.m. we'll be having the class. Okay, so I'm dividing the breaks for the people who wants to pray and to break the fast. So once the syllabus up to some level completed, session might go till 8 also, right? Not now. When it is usually before I increase the class time, 2 weeks before that I inform the students. Okay, because you have to arrange your transportation, you have to arrange, inform your parents. Lots of things are there, no? Babies, no, still low level finished people, no. So I will be usually informing 2 weeks prior. Online people nang awulak ne, but still I will inform because some people are attending completely online for other classes ne. So your class times you have to manage. So I'm usually thinking from all the aspects of the student. I'm not selfish. I don't conduct classes in Negombo Puta because my whole week is packed in Colombo. All the classes, all my physical classes completely packed in Colombo, right? Unfortunately, I'm not doing in Negombo. Sorry. Meanwhile, classes for Mother. Online people, mana message එකක් දාන්නකො, those who are not in Colombo, outside the Colombo, the only option is joining online. What to do වගේ එකක් තියෙනවා, drop a message to me. I will explain, I will guide you how the works are happening and how you have to work online. Because like you work for O level, you can't work online in A levels. Online work කරනවා නම් there's a separate methodology you have to follow. Okay, so I will guide you, don't worry. Until the end of your exams, I will be there. If God has given me good health and right, this one strength to continue the classes, definitely 200% I will give. 26 batch puta unta rad deka wenakan class night to somewhere around 1:32 they have classes, right? That's the dedication we put. And on the other hand, 100% participation also there in the class, students also come, right? So that kind of a dedication should be, if you want me to put that dedication, then you'll also have to put same amount of effort. They write the paper, they do papers, join in the live class, they switch on the camera, they do the paper. Exactly after 3 hours, I upload the PDF answers to the learning management system. I download them and I correct it separately. After writing the paper, within 1 hour, we start the discussion of the paper. It goes till 11:30, night 12 with the discussion is going, right? The same kind of a program is going to happen for 27 as well as for your batch also. This is my 8th batch now, right? So atavini batch එක කියලා කියන්නෙත් ඉතින් it's a special number, so don't worry, everything is happening in the class. First thing, we just started now. In one day itself you cannot learn everything. ඔක්කොම කරන්න බෑ. Slowly, one by one only. But from next week onwards, real maths you are going to get up, right? Last year end, you are going to do some heavy simplifications and you are going to squeeze your brain and go home, huh? So get ready for that and come, right? Good luck. So next class is Wednesday. Next Wednesday, huh? Your regular classes are happening on Wednesdays. If you are coming physical, you have Wednesdays you can come Sateha Dematagoda. This one is on Wednesday, same timing. Sateha Dehiwala Thursdays. Okay, but Thursday session is not online, it's only physical. Wednesday session is only happening hybrid, physical and online both. Okay, right. Good luck. Then I hope some sort of idea you got regarding the real numbers. I didn't discuss much. Labana Sathidama, we are going to discuss absolute value of a real number. That's the point where combined maths starts. Combined maths is going to start from that point, and then we are starting our foundation as well. So drop a message in chat box, online students, quickly. All good, fine, understood. I need individual responses quickly. Loku there, mechcherela hitapu ekats. Usually our people, when it is getting closer to 6, right, during Ramadan, they can't, right? You can try, but I don't think that you will be able to do everything. Just try the PDF. If you want me to check, you can send it to my WhatsApp number anytime, no problem. So I just tried. Can you check kila yavanda? If you want to cross check your answers, you can join the discussion. You can join the next class and do the work, no problem. Okay, so here future engineers, mathematicians, AI developers, machine learning engineers, big data engineers, right? Some sort of a person you are going in maths field and IT field, no? Right? Sometimes chemical engineers might be there, electronical engineers, electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, civil engineers, right? Software engineers, right? AI engineers, lots of engineering are there, right? Regardless of what district you are in, tudes will be sent, okay? Tudes will be delivered online. Well, කොළඹ නෙමෙයි Jaffna හිටියත් tudes ටික එවනවා. ඉතින් මම ගෙනල්ලා දෙන්නේ නැහැ. I am sending through post, no, so that's not a problem. I'll be sending the tudes, okay? Right. Good luck then. We'll see you in our next class next Wednesday. And this recording will be uploaded to YouTube. you can go to my YouTube channel, Arman Teaches Math. It was formerly called as MathLab Education. That was my institute. Now I completely changed it as Arman Teaches Math because mage nama poddak tiyaganda, right? Okay. So you can go to the YouTube channel. And if you want to see the few other lessons like work, energy, power, if you want to get a brief idea and get the understanding how we discuss main lessons in the class. Now today, sometimes you might not have an idea. So is this maths wage ekak athine? If you want to understand real maths, if you want, you can check in YouTube channel. Coordinates geometry recordings are there. And then center of gravity recordings, first session recording is there. And then work energy power session recording is there. And then after that, projectile 6-hour recording is there. Projectile motion complete lesson is there. So you can go through that one and get a brief idea how I teach the complicated topics. So you can get a better idea and come, right? So today I discussed a very simple topic. From this one, I don't think that you understood my teaching methodology fully, right? Once I started questions only, you will understand me fully. Right. Good luck. We'll meet in our next session. Next session is also free. This month class fee is half month fee. If you want, you can register before next class or register after next class. Whenever you want, you can register. But third session onwards, it's going to be paid classes. Okay. Next month onwards is going to be full class fee. Right. Then that's it for the day. You all can leave. We'll meet in our next session next Wednesday. Good luck, guys. Take this, take one file and go up the. And what's your score, by the way?